times in my own life, and I've been surrounded by so many family and friends who simultaneously admire you so greatly, love you so much, are so appreciative of your friendship, and so proud of your accomplishments, and who wish you so much success for your future. This prize day at Groton School is one of those times. Drink deeply of today, for it will sustain you for the rest of your life. On behalf of the Groton Community and Board of Trustees, I salute the form of 2013.
It was your class that forever changed the nature of sixth form orientation by asking that it be discussion rather than lecture-based, emphasizing relationships between prefects and faculty, and asking pointedly for open, honest communication. Our small group discussions on that September evening set the tone for the year and have paid huge dividends, giving us the strength to work through community challenges together and giving us the platform for conversations that build relationships, whether in check-in, in parlor, or in the chapel. I should not mention the chapel without pausing, because it ought to be said that your chapel talks have been simply outstanding. Perhaps the greatest collection of talks the school has witnessed. In years past, there was a Spider-Man bounce house in the schoolroom and a full-scale carnival in the hall. Assuming the tired tradition of a filibuster was afoot, the deans and I made reluctant plans to start classes late, shorten practices, and cancel sit-down dinner. Then 4 of you came to my office and said you had no intention of intruding upon your teachers' plans. You would simply ask them to shorten their classes if they possibly could. All their themselves would not be able to resist joining the fun. Mr. G, incidentally, was placed on prescription for his aggressiveness, dropping the headmaster to help take. What a perfect conclusion to the fun form. A surprise holiday that showed respect for the faculty and was a selfless gift to the student body and to the school. As I said to you in the chapel yesterday, your form has given many lasting gifts to Groton and to me. I could not be prouder of you and more grateful for the privilege of graduating with the form of 2013. Thank you.
I've gone through 2 topics already, which I thought were great until I started to write them and found otherwise. When I told my form mates who'd been relaxing out on the circle about my problem, they all said something like, "Dude, you're so screwed, man." It never really helped. So, at my lowest point of productivity and highest in procrastination, I looked to Mr. Commons for help. We sat in his office while I explained my problem and asked how I could possibly remedy the situation without embarrassing the school when I stepped to the podium. He, however, didn't seem fazed and gave me some helpful advice. Go away. Well, what he really meant was to spend some time collecting my thoughts away from campus. So I grabbed my bike and just raced away. I found myself, after a bit of pedaling, on the rail trail, a little ways from campus. I'd been there before, but mostly in the direction of town. So instead I headed right on the path that stretched onward, kind of like a green subway tunnel with no end in sight. It was such a beautiful and hot day. Some bikers had also escaped to the trail. They were mostly older men who seemed to love to wear these spandex racing suits, which, from the back, were not particularly flattering. So I tried to wipe the image from my mind and focus on my own business. Afterwards, I passed what I knew to be Lake Romaine and stopped at a stone bench that overlooked the wildlife reserve. There I sat with my feet in the water and listening to the shrill buzzing of some bugs in the cattails. The water around me was very flat and was only interrupted by the splashes of stone which I was throwing absent-mindedly. It really was a beautiful day. Maybe the best day of the year. I kept by too much on the leading possibilities where I'd come from, and so I headed home. The French writer and philosopher Simone de Beauvoir has this quote which I've held on to for some time for its relevancy to this day. She says, "The ideal of happiness has always taken the material form in the house. It stands for permanence and separation from the world." Here at Groton, the degree to which we are separated from the world is well known. We're on a bubble. The fact that in my 5 years at school I've never been on that trail shows the level of isolation that we students live in. But I think this separation is essential to the permanence that is so vital to this place. The house of Groton School is not just the buildings like the schoolhouse or the chapel, nor is it just the circle of the woods around it, but the very life of this place. It's its own entity, something entirely unique. The problem, however, is how to describe it in concrete terms. No mission statement or Latin phrase can sum up a place suitably, nor can a single speech. It is maybe only a feeling or a welling of a sensation that can best express a smidgen of what I'm trying to say. Frankly, I have no idea how to do that. On this prize day, under this tent, what I feel is a great sense of uncertainty and confusion. There will no longer be another Groton year to prepare for. No more Groton cars designated for us. No more Groton sports to train for. And no more Groton elections to be held. We've just been handed the steering wheel, and we must sound like no one played song. Nevertheless, I would like to share with you today some of my favorite and most cherished number wins. The boathouse was a significant part of my third form year experience. Before that, second form can be easily summarized with no girls, video games, and reading bedtime stories to my prefects. But for a variety of reasons, the boathouse became very special to me in my second year. It all started off in the winter term. I had 2 very interesting walks down to the river, both of which I will not forget. The first was spent with David Malhotra. We both missed the bus to St. Mark's, so we killed time with a leisurely stroll. It started to snow lightly, and as we shuffled down the boathouse path, the air was cold but so quiet, and the woods around us had a magical feel to them. I'm not quite sure what we talked about, but I thought I had found a friend on that walk, and so I've cherished that memory for a long time. That very same day, I went on the same journey down to the boathouse with a girl who will remain nameless out of respect for her privacy. We walked down together, unsure of what lay ahead, while the talk was considerably less easy than the hours before. The sound of silence between us was less magical and more excruciatingly awkward. According to false rumors spread afterwards, once the 2 of us arrived at the boathouse, this romantic occasion in the moment of my first kiss turned into a tale told very differently. I thought I nudged her romantically against the wall. Others believe, erroneously, that I shoved her into it. Needless to say, our relationship for the remainder of the year was a strange one. But we'll be released to it's always been very straight and clear. That doesn't mean I've always wanted to be on it. By the end of 4th form, I needed to run away. It felt like the ideal of happiness, which the Beauvoir talked about, was too elusive on Farmer's Road. And so I left. I went to semester school in Colorado, where at High Mountain Institute, the air was cleaner, the sky was bigger, and my mind was more at ease. I was hiking every day, living in a cabin with no electricity, taking all my classes outside, and learning what it was like to step back from the world. It started to slow down, and what was blurry before came into focus. It made me realize that no matter how much you're attached to a place, no matter how wonderful or terrible it may seem, there needs to be a shift in perspective in order to fully appreciate this context. I had this unique experience of leaving Groton looking back. When I returned in fifth form, the place immediately seemed both familiar and different. Or maybe it was just me that had changed. I was no longer sure of my stand in this place, and I certainly couldn't fix that by jumping in the frozen natural. What I came to realize as spring arrived was that being at Groton no longer defined me entirely. While you grow in many years during your years here, this place changes as well. It is a living, breathing entity. It is vital to realize that the relationship between student and school goes both ways. We are a part of the circle just as much as a part of us. That is the home we strive to find. The very soul of Groton is just a mirror image of each one of your familiar faces. Class of 2013. We leave more than just a name on a plaque today, and we take more away than just a flimsy diploma. Never before has there been a class we've gone through so much in a time it come out so strong. We've done it together, all 78 of us. We are romantic, adventurous, joyful, hopeful, and more than anything, we're brave. We've had great teachers and coaches. We've learned much on occasion and survived harder lessons than were originally set. These have tested our fortitude and friendships, and still, I hope we've left our mark on this school in a wonderful way. Groton is a place of